Finally, we made it to the last part of this course, and this is called relationships. Relationships. It's the biggest determining factor. It's the determining factor to create happiness. So let's jump right in and let's really get into this because this is something you want to master. We're going to speak about relationships. We're going to speak about the how. How do we have a relationship? We're going to speak about being present. We're going to learn to say, we're going to speak about learning to say sorry and forgive. The 3 pillars of marriage. What makes good marriages? 5 love languages. The different types of relationships. We're going to speak about a true friend. We're speaking about different ways of responding. And then we're going to end up with intimacy. And as the quote goes, and it's a true quote, scientifically proven, the happiest people take pleasure in other successes and show concern when others fail. Relationships. We have a wife, we have family, we have friends. But what do we need? We need all of them. But what we need is close and supportive relationships. We need deep and meaningful relationships. But how? So one technique in any relationship is listening, learning how to listen. It will increase the likelihood that the other will love themselves. And that's going back to acceptance. You know, when you're able to listen to someone, it will help them accept themselves. So it's so critical. If you want someone to accept themselves, truly listen and really hear them. Don't and stop with the rebuttal. Just listen to what they have to say, and they'll feel validated, and they'll love you back. It strengthens the relationship. It's contagious. The other person will start listening too. How? Kindness creates better relationships and actually makes the person being kind more hopeful. It actually makes you more positive. Depression is when you're sad without any hope. So do act of kindness if you want to be happy. But besides that, in a relationship, it's very important and it's also contagious. Others are more likely to be kind if you're kind. Make an effort to increase additional kindness once a week. Being present. Validation. It's important to validate your spouse or your friend. Be present with them. Work and not thinking of something else while they're talking to you, because that would increase the relationship. And try to work on not to prepare a rebuttal while talking to them. Truly listen. Maybe a way that can help you not rebuttal is try paraphrasing what they're saying before you want to say what you want to say. Learn to apologize. Learn to forgive. And learn to handle anger. That's something you want to learn. 3 pillars of marriage. First pillar is kindness. You have to be kind with your space because you're living in the same place. You have to be kind with your time. You have to be kind with your possessions. You have to be kind with your words. And you have to be kind with your money. That is an important part of marriage. You need to be kind. You need to have respect, because when you become when you stay with someone so long, familiarity brings contempt. And therefore, you need to be respectful. And that has to be a commitment. You have to be careful with your words. You have to be responsible. You can't just say, oh, I'm not doing anything. Don't read your wife's messages. Give her some room. Let her have her room. And the last idea of marriage, which friendship won't have, is sanctity. Is you guys both live for something bigger together. You have a commitment, and that's marriage. And you guys are committed to each other. And in an even higher level is you're committed to a mission together. Creating kids and creating kids in a way to grow them up in a moral, ethical, and spiritual manner, if that's important to you. John Gottman said, in good marriages, before saying goodbye, they know what they're doing. At the end of work, they have a low-stress conversation of 20 minutes. There's affection and touching. They have a weekly date. And there's admiration and appreciation. Try to find things that you can appreciate in your wife instead of focusing on the negative things, and that will create a good marriage. 5 love languages is very important to learn your spouse's love language. And one of these are the top. Sometimes there's 2. There's words of affirmation, which is words of which is saying, I love you, or it's saying words good about the other person, like, oh wow, you look so beautiful. Acts of service, doing the dishes, cleaning up the bathroom, and stuff like that. Gifts, quality time, spending time with her, physical touch. Learn your spouse's love language because that's really critical in creating a love with your wife. There's different types of relationships. There's small talk with strangers, which actually increases happiness. Friends gathering, which increases happiness. Deep conversation with someone, and that can have again, what we really want is deep, meaningful relationships, positive relationships, small acts of kindness, family dinner with no smartphones that connects people, and hiking with friends. These are the three things that you want to look in a friend. A friend is trying to hang out good people, like someone that is sad when you're sad and not just talking about themselves the whole time, or you say something sad and you're like, oh, that happened to me, like drifting off the conversation. When you do something good, they celebrate with you instead of saying, oh, what they did. And someone that's not jealous when you're doing better. That's a hard one, but that's a true friend. But that's what you want. You don't want fake friends. There's four ways you can respond. One is constructive, the other is destructive, active, and passive. Constructive is encouraging. It includes maybe even some positive suggestions. Destructive is discouraging and perhaps demeaning. Active means you're actually interested and engaged. Passive is detached and indifferent. So let's explain how this would play out. So let's say constructive, passive. So let's say your wife comes home and she's all excited and she says, you know what happened today? And you go like, oh, and you encourage, you're like, oh, cool. And like, you just walk off, right? You hear what they said, you encourage them, but you're kind of passive. You're not really like so engaged. Like constructive, active would be like, oh, so cool. Like, tell me all about it. It's you're not only encouraging, but you're really interested and engaged. Destructive, active would mean like you're discouraging someone and you're like saying, you know what? So you had a good day? Well, I had a bad day, something like that, and you like go on with that. Or destructive, passive would be like, whatever, right? So like you don't care what they have to say, and you're kind of passive. So what we want is we want to have more of constructive, active conversations. That's what we want to aim for. And to end off, finally, intimacy. Intimacy actually means intimacy because it's about knowing you're actually knowing the other person and the other person knowing you. And we want intimacy in marriage, right? We want to look deep into the other person. We want to really know their world. And there's really three levels. There's a physical level. You want to know what makes them feel good physically, what they enjoy, what they dislike physical on a physical level. Whether that's physical things or that's on a touch level. Emotional, what they feel, what they like, what causes them distress, what soothes them. And spiritual level, how is there a certain way that you can share a certain meaning together? We're going to create a family and we're going to bring them up to, we're going to bring them up morally, ethically, and even spiritually. So that ends the happiness course, and there's so much more to say about relationships, but I gave you the basic. And if you enjoyed this, I hope you take all these steps and you take all these exercises and you're able to grow in your life, have meaning, have positive emotions, and have a relationship that's the best. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope it was worth it, and have a beautiful rest of your life.